We have bought some truly awful bike products over the years, and there are plenty of pitfalls that you can make when spending money on cycling kit. But a lot of products, while far too expensive, are actually ones that we really, really want. Now, joining me today to help identify offending items are Warren and Ash. We've each brought 4 to the table. I will start with you. Your first item that is too expensive, but you really want.
Well, okay. Simply any helmet over £150.
Okay. Explain your reasoning.
Well, really, what's the point? You know, helmets have a limited lifespan. You're supposed to replace them every few years. And, you know, there's a massive range of helmets out there with really good protection, really good features, aero, proper venting and everything, all for under £150. You've got the likes of Kask, POC, Specialized, Giro, and plenty of others who are charging in excess of 400 quid for a helmet.
I'll make the obvious kind of statement here, but surely the more that you spend on a helmet, surely it gets safer.
No, absolutely not. No.
There we go.
Yeah, you know, and they're charging you £400 for a plastic hat. When it boils down to it, you know, my go-to helmet right now is Bell's Eagle XR MIPS. Now that's got MIPS, it's got really good venting, it's got fabulous straps and the brilliant Fidlock magnetic clasp. It's even got a clip-in light in the back, you know, so it's got that bit of added safety as well, and that's £130. And so if you're looking at a £300 helmet, I'm saving 170 quid, and that'll buy a lot of toys.
Yeah, my favourite one right now is one I'm wearing all the time. It's Van Riesel's RCR or FCR helmet, aero road helmet, and it is 90 quid.
Yeah.
And okay, so it doesn't have MIPS. You can get a MIPS one for a bit more money, but yeah, that for me is absolutely fantastic. Ash, can you recall off the top of your head a cheap helmet that you might want to recommend?
I always like the Kask Mojito. That was always kind of my mid-priced helmet. I had to replace it a couple of years ago because I had killed it after 7 years, and you're supposed to replace them after 7 or 8 years. Yeah, I mean, I think regards to safety element, like all helmets have to pass minimum standards and minimum coverage in Europe, in America, and in Australia. They're like different sort of standards. But they've all got to meet those standards anyway. Any extra safety that you might be getting is based on new tech or MIPS, essentially, or rotational protection, impact protection kind of tech, and that might be making a difference. But you know, there's plenty of arguments to say that it's quite unprovable because no one's going out there and having a crash on a real human head and then repeating that over and over again to see if you're getting injured each time. So in terms of like having, you know, the best safety, like you can go sort of lower end to mid tier and you're absolutely fine.
Ash, we'll stick with you. Your first product or product category that is just too much money. Well,
carbon wheels that, you know, cost over, say, £1,000. I recently did a group test on some sub £1,000 carbon wheels, and while I'm the first to admit there is a difference between, say, spending wheels that cost, say, £1,000, slightly less, or spending, say, £2,000, £3,000. The differences are not enormous.
I would say they're almost intangible. On the bike.
Almost. You can feel like I think you can feel a kind of ride quality difference with some wheels, but you know, that's not making you sort of tangibly faster, which I think is probably the salient point here. You buy a lightweight carbon wheel set to go faster than you might with an alloy wheel set, and we know that to be true. We know that deeper section rims are faster, you know, substantially compared to shallower alloy rims, but you know, moving towards like carbon spokes or ceramic bearings isn't delivering the kind of performance that the marketers would have you believe. So for me, if I'm ever spending my own money on wheels, or if I were advising anyone else, I'd be saying, you know, if you're going to spend more than £1,000, you need a really good reason to do that.
And looks is everything for me on that thing, because I would have a set of Campag's top end Bora Ultras or Hyperon. Is it Hyperon?
Hyperon's the latest. Yeah.
They just, with that Celux finish, they just look absolutely incredible. But there's no way that I'm spending that much money.
No, of course not. You know, it's several £1,000s.
I'd have a set of Scribes or something.
Oh well, even then, you could spend that money on so many other things that would either make a tangible difference to your bike, to your ride on an everyday basis, or or you could spend that on a dream cycling holiday for 2 weeks or something like that, and actually get those experiences. So that's where I stand on wheels anyway.
I'm going to bring you my first one, and this is a very controversial one because it's actually stuff that I do buy, but I save for a special occasion, and it's cycling nutrition. Anything packaged and branded, I think, is for just general riding, probably a complete waste of money, because if I go out on the bike just doing a normal ride, I don't need gels, I don't need bars. If I go into, let's say, Tesco or Sainsbury's and buy their own brand basic flapjacks, that is so much more value for money than you're getting from a sports nutrition bar. And I will say that you can make your own energy drinks kind of in the same fashion as Morton.
Or like orange juice and water with salt added.
Kind of. Even better is you can get maltodextrin and you can get fructose, and you can mix it at the ratio that they use. You can even put a little bit of a gelling agent in there, which makes it kind of appear like Morton. A lot cheaper. We've actually got a video on that, how to do it. So if you want to check that out, I think it came out about 35p per serving instead of 2-3 quid. The only time I would say that you need specific products is when you're pushing the upper limit of your capabilities, but also your stomach's capabilities to actually take this stuff in.
You see, I'm in agreement with you that you can get things far cheaper than they're being sold to us, for sure. And the brand I'm about to mention, I think, is probably guilty is probably the wrong word, but Velafort or Velaforte, depending on how you pronounce it, for example, they make some of the best tasting energy bars out there, and I enjoy consuming them, but they're not cheap.
No.
And they're natural food, right? So you're buying natural food in a pack to then just sort of consume it on a bike, when you could just try and make a bar, a similar kind of bar at home. Like the whole point, I think, of their bars is that it's natural, and that you can make homemade, and you can make it in a kitchen. So why? I mean, okay, well, a lot of us are time poor, but why wouldn't you do that if you could, and make it a lot cheaper? Have figs and prunes and whatever you'd like in an energy bar. Maybe not prunes, but let's skip over that.
A bit of time on a Sunday afternoon spent in your apron can go a long way,
especially after a club ride. Yeah, when you bonks on your club ride.
No. If you try and make the bars after a club ride, I've been there. You're just going to eat that stuff straight as batter.
That's true.
That's not getting in the oven.
No.
Warren, have you invested in cycling nutrition? I kind of feel like you are a cafe ride man.
Yeah, quite a lot of the time. Yeah. I mean, I do have it, I do use it, but that's, but probably more on the drink side of things. And I just buy a bulk tub, and I'm not that precious about what it is or from which brand. Though I do like Torques because they just tend to be nicer flavour. Same with I'd rather eat a Torque flapjack than any energy bar. Gels. Again, it's only if you really sort of are really going for it. But I tend to find, I've probably got a packet of gels that got sent in or something like that, and one of those gels will be in my jersey pocket throughout the whole summer, and I just won't use it. It'll just get transferred. I might need that one day, and I never do.
I've got some.
So I've got these dog-eared gels that just sort of, that just sort of go from shirt to shirt, and I never ever use them. So.
I hope you replace these from time to time.
Well, I mean, I did. One of the mates I ride with quite a lot, he would just sort of ignore sell-by dates, and I've been on rides with him, and he's like, "What's that gel?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it ran out in 2019."
That's a danger gel.
It's a danger gel.
It's either fermented and made it super powerful, or he's going to have a really bad day. But seems to have an iron stomach. So
lovely. I'll come back to you for your second pick.
Okay. This is a bit similar to my first one, really, and it's expensive shoes.
Copy and paste, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a very, very similar reason. I mean, one of my favourite shoes from the last year of testing is Q36 5's the Torre Klima. Amazing shoe, beautiful, super light, stiff enough without being sort of harsh. 3D knitted upper that just fits like a second skin. I can't fault anything about them apart from they're £447, and that's insane pricing. Absolutely insane. And it's the same all over. I mean, Another shoe that I really like this year, Trex RSL. Mad looking, fits amazingly. It's a penny shy of 400 quid. Or, even like DMT's Podgy signature shoe. I had the previous version of that, and then the new ones are out, $389.99. Now, DMT make a shoe called I think it's the KRS or KRL, which is £130 cheaper. It looks basically the same. It's got the same sort of 3D knit upper. It's got the same sort of sole, same closures, everything. It weighs 60 grams more. So for a 60 gram saving, it's going to cost you extra £130. I'd rather save the £130, thanks.
This is one of the areas that really annoys me in cycling, why shoes with a few more features cost so much more. And it's annoying because I think it's one of those cycling products that really rewards you with getting it right for yourself. And that doesn't mean spending more necessarily. But like tyres, shoes, saddles, I feel like those are the three kind of things that you should, do your research on, invest to get the product that's right for you. Because tyres, obviously, grip. Saddles, you sit on. And shoes, if they ain't comfy, you are going to know about it so quickly.
Bike fitting comes into this, I think, because you can get like a good bike fit that can then map all these things together for you. And I've had two or three bike fits in. I can't remember now, 2 or 3. I've had a few bike fits over the years, and each time they've never advised that I buy the most expensive kit because that will be better. Even though I sort of wanted it, said no, you don't need that. You need sort of mid range or low range or this kind of saddle shape, etc. So that's kind of where I'd go with that. Is that you need sort of a bit, maybe some sort of outside help in order to select the products that are right for you if you can't afford to sort of keep trial and erroring all the time.
And this kind of ties into one of your next suggestions, 3D printed saddles.
Yeah, I'm not sold on them. Whoa. And I know that there's a lot of people feel that they're more comfortable because the 3D mapping and the way that the cushioning works is theoretically more comfortable. But I've got 2 that I've tried in shapes that I know work for me, and they're no more comfortable than the saddles that they replaced. One has a channel, one doesn't have a channel, for perineal pressure relief. And in reality, I find that as long as you've got the shape and the cushioning where you need it, again, this is where bike fit comes into play, where you can get your saddle pressure maps and so on to sort of get that right. I think it's kind of like the cycling industry has jumped on the 3D printed bandwagon because it's the hot thing to do and applied it to saddles. Now I can see a time where that may be sort of maybe more useful when we're getting individual saddles mapped to your pressure points. I think Physic have started doing that now, but it's certainly not widespread. It's certainly not cheap. There's exactly why we're sat here.
I've had the Persidler one, the Joy Seat. I had one of those custom made, which they basically send you like a box with a substance in it, which you get in your pants and you sit on, and then you lay a grid over it, take a bunch of photos, send in the photos, send the box back to them, and they've used that pressure map to build you a saddle. And when I got the saddle, it was amazing, and it just felt like a saddle I'd used for 20 years. It just felt immediately comfortable. It's not as expensive as the new Physique 3D custom thing, but it's still expensive. But the thing with it is like, do I now need to use that saddle on every bike? No, I don't. But I can see that where it's actually tailored individually for you.
I can't get past the mental image of what the impression that's being left.
We don't need to dwell on that.
No. I can send you pictures if you want.
No, thank you. I will. I'll move swiftly on to my second suggestion, which is a very particular product. And I want to preface this by saying that I have a pair of these and I would actually buy them, but they are horrifically expensive. At £90, Spatz's kind of deepest winter overshoes. These things look like wellies for cycling, but they work. And I've had mine for about 4 years or something like that. I've used them through gravel, mountain bike and road, and they keep my feet warm in the worst conditions that I don't ride in anymore because I've come around to Zwift and all those things. But yeah, if you want to keep your feet warm in the winter, I think these are worth it.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because Warren and I know, are both fans of wearing winter boots and dedicated winter shoes, which are actually also very expensive, if you know, usually as well.
Yeah.
But we're fans of that. But the Spats overshoes for £90, they're like neoprene based ones.
They are kind of neoprene based ones, but when you think of a neoprene overshoe, I think you think of something quite delicate, almost.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I switched to just wearing winter boots.
Yeah,
on and off road, because I'm doing so many miles over the winter, because you know, I can't test bikes on Zwift, sadly.
You could.
Well, it wouldn't be that.
It's not that great.
You can't really talk about how they handle, can you? So you try and lean into a corner, and I'll just fall into my aquarium. But I found that I was getting through 5 or 6 pairs of overshoes a winter, just destroying them. Usually it would usually be, if they've got any sort of closure system on them, it breaks. Right, zips rot out.
Yeah.
Velcro kind of curls up and dies. Yeah. It was all that sort of thing. But
cleat holes go. Yeah,
the cleat holes, they get torn and everything. So it just became a false economy to buy more and more overshoes.
These are industrial. These are agricultural in their build, and they've got massive patches of like really hard wearing material.
They kind of look a bit sort of fetishy. I
think.
Yeah. Actually, Q365 sent me some that are very, very similar, and after the 40 minutes of trying to get them on, I was like, I bet these work, but I don't know if I can. I don't think I can go through this turmoil every time when I go on a bike.
I would say, if you get the chance, give Spats a go. They're genuinely fantastic. Warren, I'll come back to you for your third pick.
This is a big one. And it's...
Set this up. Come on.
Shimano Dura-Ace Di2.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, what do you get over and above Ultegra Di2?
Shiny.
A different kind of shiny. Yeah. And I actually prefer the Ultegra shiny. I think the latest Dura-Ace Gloss Black, a bit cheap. But it's like circa 2003 105.
If we had this conversation in like, say, 2014, 2015, when it was a bit chromy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But, you've got a grip set, shifts the same, brakes the same. Ultegra's got more options on chain rings, cassettes, everything. And it only weighs 411 grams more. I mean, that's 3/4 full water bottle. And to save that 3/4 full water bottle, you've got to spend another £1,200.
Yeah.
And, £1,200, that's a good set of wheels.
Mm-hmm.
That's a week's winter sun riding. And I'm not letting SRAM off the hook either on this.
I slightly disagree with you on this right now, because of the way that Red's new brake levers and work. Yeah. I think those red levers are genuinely an upgrade. It's not like Shimano. I think
I agree on that, but I would buy the red levers and the rest of it forced.
Yes.
I don't see, the difference in price is like £600. You factor in the red levers over the force levers, and that probably comes down to about £400. But £400 is still a huge saving for essentially getting the same performance, especially now everything's electronic, because they're all using the same motors. It's all using the same shift logic. It's all the same programming. The only people that need to be on Red and the only people that need to be on Dura-Ace are people who are sponsored to ride it. If you're just a normal average guy, whatever your budget, that's as high as you need to go. It's Ultegra Force.
I think that's pretty conclusive. Ash, your third option.
My third option was top end bike computers.
Is this because you're currently testing the top end bike computers?
Video
coming.
Yes, video coming. Oh, it should be live by the time this goes out.
I'm going to look to Felix behind the camera.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've just finished testing the Wahoo Element Ace, and I tested the Garmin Edge 1050 in like sort of August, September time this year, and both are very nice to use. Both are I suppose what you might call the best of what they're selling right now. Maybe not the best that they can achieve, but that's the best that they're offering right now, and they're the best computers that they sell. But in reality, you've got to spend £550 for the Wahoo, £650 for the Garmin. That's a hell of a lot of money for a bike computer. When what you really want to do, it's not using it while you're riding. Most people I talk to want to ignore the fact they've got a bike computer, and they just want to. If they're going to look at data, they'll look at it after the ride, and you can do that with a much cheaper device. So for me, I'm quite happy with my Edge 830, my own Edge 830, which is also smaller and doesn't sort of shout at me. There's got a really big screen, a massive unit in front of me, and it can record everything that I need it to do. Yes, I'm missing a couple of the latest features that both can offer. But if you've watched that, and the videos or you've read the reviews that I've written about them, you'll know that I don't think hugely highly about them. Yes, they've got potential for the future, but right now they're both unfinished articles. So you don't need them right now. Don't buy tech that isn't ready to be used just yet. I mean, admittedly, Garmin's connected features require people to use them, but that requires dozens of people in your local area maybe to spend £650 on a bike computer.
And then
it's nonsensical.
take the time to point out those.
For like the hazard warning system, yes, in order to to point them out and actually to be willing to engage with it. Like you could have these devices, and like your 1040, for example, will work with it, and you can do a similar sort of thing, but you have to know it's there, and you have to be willing to engage with it and say, I've gone past a pothole there. I'll have to now click on the warning and then select that it's a pothole, and then it goes back to the ride again. And you've got to do that every single time. In the UK, you're going to be spending more time setting warnings.
In ways that phone GPS does that. It's sort of you're driving along and it will say, there's a hazard up ahead. There's this up ahead. And it's like, who's putting this in? Because surely you should be concentrating on driving.
There's a bit of that.
And I think the same on a bike. It's like, there's a pothole. I better go and as you say in the UK, if you've seen one pothole, you're going to hit another one in 10 yards. So
just real quick fire from the two of you. Recommendation on what GPS unit people should be buying.
I've got the 850 and I really like it, but that's only because I'm so wedded to Garmin because I've been using the Garmin for like 15 years. So I've got 15 years of data on Garmin Connect.
Is that the 840?
840.
Yes, sorry, 840.
Yes.
Sorry, not 850.
Garmin haven't got a new computer coming.
But we'll have.
Yeah, we haven't broken anything by saying that.
But coming to it fresh, I don't know. I mean, I've been testing the new Karoo from Hammerhead recently, and it's the same sort of high performance level as the new Wahoo, as the new Garmin. Yeah, it's only 400, so it's cheaper than both. And I quite like Hammerhead's approach of constantly updating, constantly bringing new features out. It's not like here's a unit and throw it out into the market and go get on with it. They're constantly working to update and improve. If I could find some sort of hack to export all my Garmin data and get it onto theirs, I might seriously be tempted to make the switch. And especially if you're a SRAM user, because Hammerhead works so seamlessly with SRAM.
Yeah,
that's one of the big things about the Hammerhead heads, isn't it? I've also tested the Hammerhead, or I've used it at least. I've got one at home. But actually, I'd even go lower than the 40 level computers, and I'd go to the Garmin 830. That's the one I've got at the moment now, and that I use for myself. It's the one I'd use because it's it's just a nice form factor. You've got the same kind of screen to form factor real estate. It's perfectly clear, as in sort of retina clear when you're riding. It's far enough away that you can't see all the individual pixels. It's bright enough, it lasts long enough, it has all the features that I could ever want on it. So that's that. If you can find one, get an 830, in my opinion.
I would say exactly the same thing. If I had a bit more money, I'd get the 840. I've not the solar version. I've been using it. I really like it, apart from the solar feature.
It's quite thick, though. I don't like how thick they are. But then that's a really aesthetic thing. I mean, I'm splitting hairs when I say that.
Speaking of aesthetic things, my next suggestion is top-end clothing. Now, I have been rocking around in some Panamal kit this summer. It's been really, really nice. I've also got ASOS kit, I've got Rafa kit. I don't have map kit, but I think it looks really nice. But the money is just ridiculous in my opinion. There are just plenty of brands that do it cheaper. Castelli to some extent, if you can get their stuff in the sales, but you don't even have to spend that much money. DHB, Callus, Van Riesel, Sportful. I think the key thing is to find a brand, and you guys might agree, that kind of works for you in terms of your body fit, and just stick with them. Because I personally, I think Santini shorts work really, really well for me because they're a bit more traditional and I'm a smaller guy. And they just work for me. So I'll continue to buy Santini.
For a while, I used to be but when I first started out in cycling, I used to be quite sort of focused on trying to brand match. I wanted either a Rafa top and a Rafa shorts, or Castelli top, Castelli shorts, or Sportful. And I wanted, and at the time DHB as well. I just wanted it to match, right? And I'm maybe because I test quite a lot of things now, I don't have the luxury of riding the set, like matching kit all the time. Like you test bib shorts, bib tights, or jerseys, whatever it is you're doing, and I'm now less precious about that because I want to wear the stuff that fits me better.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm not sort of on the clock and testing things in work time and it's my own ride. I want to ride kit that fits me really well. So that means a mix of sort of brands, and actually there's more than one out there that will do a great job, as long as the product itself fits me. But even then, like I don't think brands have a single fit. I think it's different across the products that they're making. So finding the right thing can be quite tricky, especially when we're very fortunate that we get to test quite a lot of kits, which means that we know what fits us and we know what doesn't fit us. Whereas most people at home won't have that kind of that ability to be able to just go and try things and then just return them because they don't fit, because they've been worn. It's quite difficult to do that. So I always try and say, if you can support your bike shop by going there and try stuff on just to get an idea of how it fits, how anatomical it is, whether it's pulling up too much, the body's too short for you, which is a problem I get quite a lot of the time.
Just too tall, mate.
Yes, that's me. Yes.
I don't have that issue, funnily enough.
You don't, do you? No, but you buy smaller clothes though, so it's still something to have a look at, right? So I just think finding the right fit for you is and then just sticking with that, or finding something that has that right fit for you is just the most important thing.
Absolutely. Warren, your final suggestion.
Yeah, this one is quite...
This is one that you've broken, and I know you've broken it because I've seen your bikes.
Yes, yeah. Fancy bottle cages.
Yeah.
Whether it's a slither of carbon fibre or a titanium rod that's been bent about and anodised, nobody needs to spend over £100 for a bottle cage.
No.
Take something like Silka's Securo Keracoat. It's beautiful. It comes in a whole ton of colours. That ceramic coating it's got on it means it's hardware and it lasts and lasts and lasts. But it's £115 for a bottle cage. Now for £28, I can get a carbon elite cage that's actually a couple of grams lighter. Or go for something like Lezine's flow cage, which those are just bulletproof. They've just gone for £12. So you've got to have bottle cages that match. You can't have mismatched bottle cages. That's just an absolute no-no. So if you wanted the Silka one, it's £230 on bottle cages, on something that's going to have a really hard life. It's going to have sticky substances stuck all over it. You're going to be pushing bottles in and out of it all the time. Let's face it, bottle cages look manky quite quickly. And if you've spent £230 on it, then you're going to really, really regret that. But
you have.
But my new bike, my Mosaic, my RT, which I absolutely love, don't look at the bottle cages on that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have two really nicely colour matched wolf tooth bottle cages on it, and they weren't £100 each. Let's just get that out there.
Were they not?
No. Well,
No.
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna be drawn on it.
Ash, your final suggestion.
Top end smart trainers.
Oh, I can
trainers.
hear a lot of Zwifters getting ready to angrily type.
I think if you're a top, a high level or top level Zwift racer, or amateur racer on the platform or any other platform, or you're a pro rider using the platform in order to train indoors, or you need to have really exacting kind of power measurements, then I think fine. Okay, for you specifically, fine. But that argument rings true for a lot of things. The very best for the very best athletes.
Yeah.
But 99% of us are not the very best athletes, and we just don't need that. I was chatting to our colleague Simon, who's tested loads of trainers for us.
Is it 17?
I think it's 17 in the last few years, and more besides in his time. He's tested lots of them. He's got a really rigorous kind of protocol for doing it. So Simon's tested like top end, mid range, low end, entry level sort of smart trainers. Verified their accuracy, talked about their power outputs, and done all this testing. And no one really needs like plus or minus 1% of accuracy when you could have plus or minus 1.5%. and you could spend a third of the money. He's recently reviewed the Jet Black Victory, and that's £400 ish, I think, versus something that's £1,700. Like the Tax Neo 3M, I think, is the one of the most expensive trainers out there. And there's so little to choose between them in reality for people like you, me, and Warren, that you just wouldn't spend that kind of money. You just don't need to do it.
I don't know. It needs to cope with my one Zwift race per winter.
Yeah, your one Zwift race per winter, but you're not putting out 2,000. You don't need that top end of 2,500 watts of. You really don't. Only Robert Forsterman needed that in his time.
A few of the people at the Track Worlds. I was seeing the Max Power at the Track World Cup, and the men and women just putting out horrific numbers of watts.
Yes, but that's an elite situation, and men and women are going to be able to put out really, really high levels of power there that will challenge these trainers. But that's not us. That I can barely put out. I won't tell you how much, but I can barely put out anywhere near that amount of watts. So there's no point us having that kind of capability in a smart trainer. It doesn't make it any better for you. It doesn't mean it's going to last longer.
I'll finish with possibly the most sought after upgrade in the cycling industry. I think premium pedals, because let's be honest, who needs anything more than like the basic Shimano RS 500 pedals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the basic mountain bike version. Like, no one does.
We all know buying the stiffest pedals or the lightest pedals, thinking, oh yes, that's going to make us faster.
And do I want the Dura-Ace pedals? Yes, I do. Do I want the Look Blade carbon ceramic
titanium axled ones? Of course I do.
That name gets to about this.
It does, doesn't it?
Do I want them? Yes, I do. Do they also cost £235? Yes. Are they going to be absolutely unseeable when I've got my foot clipped into them? Yes. Do they come with the same basic plastic cleats that cost £6 to replace? Yeah, of course they do.
Well, recently I tested a bunch of budget pedals across like all the systems, so Time, Shimano, Look, and then there was a Look pattern pedal in there, which is from Halfords, so £24.99. Like a set of Look official cleats, £25.99. These were a set of pedals with cleats for less than a set of cleats.
That's
ridiculous. And they're absolutely fine. They're good, in fact.
Yeah. And they get you going. And I bet.
And pedals have a hard life. I remember I did quite a few years ago. I bought a set of Time X Pro 15s, which were. I got them at a good deal. They were in a sort of discounted. And that was the titanium version of their top end road pedal, like ridiculously light. It's like 165, 170 grams. First ride, grounded the pedal going through a corner, and I almost cried all the way home because I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah,
I couldn't unsee the scuff.
Yeah,
and it was it's on the bolt on the titanium axle right on the edge, and it like just scrubbed the anodizing, and I was like, I can never unsee that now.
Well,
that's ruined my week.
That's ruined my week as well. I hope it's ruined your week at home too. If you've got any suggestions for products that are way too expensive, but you also just have to have them, leave them down in the comments below. Well, there we go, gents. That was a great collection of products. If you at home have any suggestions for products that are just too expensive, but you still have to have them, do let us know what they are, and if you've got any questions, send them into podcast@bikeradar.com. Ash, Warren, thank you very much for joining me.
No worries.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next time.